Welcome back to another episode of Industry Disruptors. I'm Ajay Nair, joined by, as always, Jordan Wiley, MBE. Thank you very much for joining me, Jordan.
Sorry.
Today we're going to be talking about your power team, and I think this is quite an important part of the process when we're dealing with property investors or building a portfolio. If you're obviously just buying a random resi and that's it, then you don't need to worry about it. But yeah, quite focused on investors and your power team. So we'll start with, who do you need?
Us.
Me!
Need me.
Yes, your mortgage advisor.
Yeah.
Very, very important. If you're working with the wrong type of advisor who doesn't understand property investment properly, who doesn't understand the process, who doesn't understand what lenders can and cannot do, what criteria works, what criteria doesn't work, you're going to fall down very, very quickly, as we've seen so many times. The amount of messes that we clean up is unbelievable. I would say probably about 35%, if not 40% of the deals that I work with new clients are cleaning up messes. So the importance of the mortgage advisor is imperative.
Yeah. What's the main part of your business is lending?
Yeah, and I think that kind of hits a nail on the head, because if you can't get the right type of lending, you can't grow the right way. If you can't leverage in the correct way, you can't grow the right way. If you're a billionaire and you've got loads of cash, then yeah, fuck it doesn't matter. You can do what you want. But where you're looking to grow and you want to take advantage of lending, it's so important. I actually feel, without any bias, that the most important is the mortgage advisor.
Yeah.
Because the accountant, the solicitor, and the lender, because obviously we'll go with different lenders based on the deal, there's so many of them.
Yeah.
But the right advisor, I think, is so important.
Yeah.
And so that's why we are where we are with regards to that.
And then you touched on the other people that you need. Accountants.
Accountant, yes, you need to have the right accountant.
You need an accountant who understands property.
Yeah, so a lot of accountants will say they understand property,
But they don't.
but I guarantee you that they won't. And the perfect example for that is the stupidity and idiocy that I deal with continuously, where an accountant will blindly say, yeah, I do know about property. I'm like, okay, bitch, if you know about property, why on fuck's earth are you not submitting the accounts at the right time?
Oh, yeah.
Because HMRC have one guideline, mortgage lenders have another guideline.
Yeah.
And to put it as bluntly as possible, HMRC are 9 months. Mortgage lenders are 6 months. So, for example, a self-assessment needs to be submitted by the 6th of October. The 6th of October, not your 31st of January. So when your accountant contacts you in January saying, oh, let's do your accounts, you're already fucking late. You're already late. So you cannot submit a mortgage application because a mortgage application will be declined based on the fact that you haven't submitted your accounts. So it delays the process of that mortgage application. It delays the process of that property. It's very, very possible you'd lose that property. So any accountant that's listening, and of course we work with some great accountants, which is brilliant, but any of you other accountants that we don't work with or we've worked with once or twice, get it through your brain. If we are dealing with property investors or a self-employed individual who is buying a residential property, the accounts must be submitted 6 months after the year end. So if it's personal, it's the 6th of October. If it's limited company, it needs to be 6 months after the year end. So if your year end is January the 31st, accounts need to be submitted July 31st. It's very, very fucking simple. But it doesn't happen.
Hardly ever happens.
And they'll blindly say,
Yeah. I argue
oh, I
with
know
them.
all about property. I was like, you know fuck all about property, mate, if you don't know when the accounts need to be submitted.
Yeah, back and forth constantly. It's just so tiresome. I'm just like, just do what I say because I'm right and you're wrong.
Yeah,
So
because they don't get lending and
Yeah.
they don't get property investment.
exactly.
So to those, I mean, there are amazing accountants who will phone me first and be like, right, Ajay,
Those are the best.
this is what I want to do with the accounts, blah, 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 blah. Does this work for lending? I'm just like, mate,
Yeah.
I love you.
Yeah.
I love you amazingly. Obviously DPC, one of them, who are fantastic.
Absolutely brilliant, yeah.
Marco Mira, who I absolutely love. I have so much love for him inside my heart, because he's not only efficient, but if I say, right, this is what we need to do, this is how we need to do it, these dividends need to be paid out, or you can keep those dividends, we'll use net profits here, and he's just on it.
Yeah, there's an accountant that I work with, I can't for the life of me remember his name now, with a client up in Scotland, and he's just like that.
Yeah.
He's brilliant.
Yeah.
He'll do whatever I ask.
Yeah, absolutely.
He will work with me.
And then you get that idiot who you used to be with,
Yeah.
who thought...
My own personal accountant.
Yeah, obviously we changed very quickly.
He was all right until he wasn't.
Yeah, because he didn't understand common sense.
Yeah.
What was it? He was like, oh, what, you're trying to do something fraudulent?
Yeah, and I was like, no, I just want...
The self-assessment to match the tax overview.
It didn't match, yeah, because he'd overpaid or something. I was like, I just need like an explanation, or I need them to match, or...
But the thing is, HMRC will make that adjustment because you pay on account, right? So you've paid in advance for the following year. When it comes to that following year and maybe your tax exposure was slightly less, the tax overview will still state what it did last year.
Yeah, they don't catch up in time.
Exactly. So you just need to go to HMRC and say, right, can you just adjust the tax year overview?
Yeah.
And that's it, job done.
And he just thought I was being fraudulent. And I was like, no, I just need you to make it correct.
Yeah. Because obviously mortgage lenders will not lend on a property if the tax calculation tax exposure does not match your tax year overview.
Yeah.
So it's very, very important.
Yep.
Solicitors.
And solicitors is a big one because, well, there's two parts of it really, isn't there? There's like...
The panels.
Yeah, getting a solicitor on panel and getting a solicitor who's good.
The best is when a solicitor who isn't on panel says, oh, I'll get on that panel.
Yeah, no, you won't.
And again, it's like, no, bitch, it's not going to happen.
And
right?
even if you could, by the time you could have, you've just wasted like weeks of your life.
Like Fleet Mortgages Limited Company. So Fleet Mortgages have a large panel for personal name. For limited company, they have a very restricted panel. Unfortunately, based on experience, I've not had the best of times with that small panel. But they're very, very small. They're also very restricted, so they don't allow new people to come onto that panel. To get onto that panel is one of the most difficult things that happens. And I've had solicitors, I'll get on that panel.
Like, no, you won't.
I'll apply. No,
you can apply, but...
Don't waste my time. And the worst part of it is then clients will then just listen to those solicitors and say, well, they're going to get on panel. I was like, can you understand the words are coming out? I feel like Chris Tucker. Do you understand the words are coming out of my mouth? Because I'm saying it's not going to happen. And so if it's not going to happen, then stop wasting time and pissing about, because we can get someone from Fleet on here and they will tell you it's not going to happen. When one of the largest firms that we work with at the moment, quite a lot, JMW, and we'll have them on as guests at some point as well, I think. They're one of the largest firms in the UK. Well, I say one of the largest. They are a very large firm in the UK. They can't get on panel, and I've tried to help them get on panel. So if they can't do it, your little one-man band it's not going to happen.
No.
But yeah, continue what you were saying about one was a panel and one that's good.
Yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know what on panel means, is that the lenders will have a panel that the solicitors that they like to work with, and you need to use a solicitor that's on panel. Otherwise, if you don't, then you'll have to pay for their solicitors and your solicitors, which to me just seems pointless.
Apart from some lenders who insist upon...
Apart from some lenders who insist upon it. But
and also bridging lenders as well, some of them.
Yeah, exactly. So getting someone on panel is paramount. So usually, is what we get a lot, right, is that people who instruct solicitors
before we know the lender.
We know the lender. So they're like, I'll work with this solicitor since I was like 21. It's my dad's solicitor. He's a one-man band. He's like 80, sitting in his little office like this. And it's like, he's not on panel, so we can't use him. So you've instructed him. You've maybe paid his undertaking, and now we can't use him. So never, ever, ever, ever instruct a solicitor until you've spoken to your broker and you've got a lender. Because this is a waste of time and it could be a waste of money.
Yeah, but then we get screwed by the wankers of the industry, the estate agents. Again, I will clarify, not all estate agents, but those that are wankers, you know who you are because I have to deal with you continuously, who will insist upon the purchaser having their solicitors instructed day one. And we have that fight all the time, and estate agents don't get it. It's like something is wrong with their brain where they don't understand. Mate, until I have the lender, we can't instruct a solicitor. And we can't instruct that solicitor because that solicitor needs to be on panel for that lender.
But also, there might be free solicitors. So we're using the lender's solicitors.
Correct, yes. Yeah, that's another one. So if we're doing dual representation, Aldermore will do free solicitors, for example. We won't know who the solicitors are until it's offered.
Yeah.
Until the mortgage offer is through. So that's another one that's not going to work. If we use a bridging lender that does dual representation, for example, again, we know who the solicitors are going to be, but we don't know which person. And that estate agent insists upon having the details, and they'll then contact that solicitor firm, and that solicitor's firm will say, we haven't been instructed, thank you very much.
We don't know anything about this case. Well, obviously.
That's exactly what I told you. Stop pissing about. Just listen. Stop thinking you know fucking everything, because it's not going to work. So their solicitor's not going to be a panel. That, I think, makes my blood boil the most is when I'm having to
just give them any solicitors.
Do you?
Yeah. Just tell them it's that.
Just to get rid of them?
Yeah. And then they'll come back and say, well, we don't know anything about this case. I was like, well, I told you so. And then I'll be like, oh, we just had a change of solicitors when I know who they are. Like, here's the solicitor details. Oh, I can't be arsed with that, man.
Yeah. No,
let me do my job. And
all right.
if you need to be involved in some way, you will be. Which is never.
I tell you what I used to do. I used to pay the estate agent.
Yeah.
To get rid of them.
Yeah, here's your commission. So you're done.
Yeah.
See you later. You
don't ever contact me again.
Yeah.
Don't ever and then it's put into the contract of the sale that the commission's already been paid, so that's taken off the purchase price.
Yeah.
I literally I did that, I don't know, 15, 20, 30 times.
Yeah.
And it worked brilliantly, because I was like, I can't go through the process dealing with an agent consistently chasing me again and again and again, because they don't understand the process.
But you'd think that they work loosely in the property industry, but they don't know anything about property. So how do you not know the process?
No, they understand how to sell property. They understand how to get clients in to instruct them to sell their properties.
Yeah, but they don't know the process of actually buying them.
But the problem lies in here, where they've got an estate agent building, where you've got your estate agents who are selling properties, and then you've got your mortgage advisor in that room doing resis, which is very straightforward and simple. And, you know, if you're going with a Halifax or a Barclays or something like that it can get done so quickly, then, and it's almost like that's all they know. But the moment it's a limited company, it's a bridge. I mean, God forbid it's a bridge and the agent, I want a dip. No. It doesn't work that way, mate, because not all bridging lenders will give a dip. In fact, 90% of them don't give a dip. They'll just say,
it's not even worth the paper it's written on. Any dip in the world, even if it's a resi.
I can get £1 million dip tomorrow.
Yeah.
It just comes down to what numbers I'm putting into that system.
Until I've done the full app, nothing matters.
Someone could be earning £5,000 a year. I'll get them £1 million dip.
Yeah.
It's not, like, literally, it's not worth the paper it's written on.
Means nothing.
All it comes down to is, from a credit point of view, would they get accepted? That's the only thing that the dip is worth.
Yeah.
It's not worth the amount, because
But you do what I do now, right?
What?
Is just get the estate agent to email you directly and then just be like, I am the dip.
Yeah. Well, I don't say I am the dip. You say I am.
I am the dip. I've never had someone say that's not okay.
Really?
Yeah. They've all accepted it.
Brilliant.
But I am the dip.
You are the dip.
That's my job,
because ultimately, here's the thing. I will never even look at a case. I'll never even try to find a product for a client until I have their credit report.
Yeah.
I think, and it's like, until that credit report is in my hand and I can go through that credit report, I will not look at it.
Yeah.
When people say, oh, yeah, but my score's 999. Okay, wonderful. That's brilliant. Your score can be 999, but I need to see the body of that credit report, and that's what's important.
Do you remember I don't know if you remember this, but probably about a year, 18 months ago at least now. And I was doing a bridging case and the estate agent wanted to see the terms as the dip.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't mean to be rude, but you're not going to understand the terms if I do send them to you. So like, you just leave me to it. And and I don't know if it was he or she actually. And they were just like, well, can you send them over? Because I need it. So I sent it over. They came back and was like, I do not understand these. And I was like, well, I told you. What was the point in that? Just to tick a box on your side. Like, it was so pointless. And I pre-warned you weren't going to understand them.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, I don't understand this, sorry.
And so then what did you say in return?
I said, well, I did tell you.
Oh, so then that was that.
And that was that. I didn't get a response.
All right. Anyway. But yeah, so solicitors, very, very important that they've got to be the right type of solicitor with the right knowledge. Oh, the other thing, if you're doing bridging, the solicitors need to have 3 SRA managers. With regards to the power team, once you've got that power team, I think it's very, very important. So you're going to have a number of solicitors because different solicitors can work with different lenders and all the rest of it. But when it comes to the mortgage advisor and the accountant, I think it's very important to stick and not piss about. So you've got your mortgage advisor, you've got your accountant, and that's going to stay the same for as long as possible unless you have a fight and you beat each other up or whatever. The only one that's going to chop and change, unfortunately, is a solicitor because of the panels of certain lenders. So you're going to have to probably have about 4 or 5 different solicitors. Currently, I've got one solicitor in Scotland. I've got one solicitor in the UK. I've got one solicitor for Fleet because no one is on that panel. And then I've got one solicitor that does my resi stuff. But I stick with those, right? I don't deviate and just go with some random solicitor. If they're £5 cheaper, I don't give a shit about how much they cost. What I care about is efficiency. So I think clients have got to decide what is more important to them. Is efficiency more important, efficiency and knowledge, or is cost? Because I find very often, and again, this is only speaking from experience, there can be multiple differences on deviations with regards to the service. But what I find is the less you're paying, the less efficient the process is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
what I've seen.
Pretty straightforward. But where, again, this power team is so important is where they all have conversations with each other. The accountants and the mortgage advisors should continuously be talking. There should be that relationship. And I think what I love about Michelle at DPC was that when we first met was because she phoned me after a client told her, this is what I'm going to do, blah, blah, blah. She phoned me first and said, right, one of your clients wants to do X, Y, and Z. Does that work for lending? And immediately I fell in love with her and I was like, you know what, you are brilliant because you're the first accountant in my entire life that has contacted me to ask me what was right for lending. So there was that. But again, like if we're dealing with title splits or if we're dealing with corporate structures and things like that, the solicitors need to be in the loop.
Yeah.
And having that conversation between, we're all 4 on the same phone call, right? Client, solicitor, accountant, mortgage advisor, all on the same phone call, all working with each other, I think is so important.
Yeah, especially when it comes to corporate structures with the accountants, because they might have their own opinions, which is backwards mostly.
Yeah, I don't understand that backwards thing.
Yeah, but they need to understand what works for lending. So what they need to do is what fits the lenders. Otherwise, the client can't get lending.
Yeah.
So anything different isn't going to work.
No. The backwards thing, just to clarify, is basically if you're purchasing a property to a company and then you want to title split it, you want to title split the leases into the subsidiary company. And what some accountants want to do is they want you to buy it in the subsidiary and move the freehold into the parent company, holding company. But it just doesn't work for lending. And it also doesn't work for the strategy of the title split because the property is staying in the same company. We'll do corporate structures in another episode. But I think what's very, very important is having that understanding and having that conversation. there's one accountant who I fight with pretty much every time. Every time I meet a client who deals with this accountant, I feel like we have the same conversation every single time. And I almost want to say, mate, do you know what? Fuck off. Just listen to me, because this is what I need to do for lending. I don't care what you need to do.
Why doesn't the client just get a new accountant?
Because, see, that's the thing. The client is always... I feel sorry for the client because they get conflicting advice consistently, right? It's almost like a survey.
Yeah.
A surveyor goes out to a property, 10 surveyors go out to one property, 10 different answers.
Yeah.
And it's almost exactly the same. There are conflicting... So there are some people who, bless them, will just blindly... Okay, well, that's what the accountant says, fine. Yeah. But then what I tend to say is, I'm doing the mortgage is more important.
Yeah, it is.
So we have to do what the lender wants. We have to adhere to the lender's criteria. So, Mr. Accountant, thank you very much for your input. But no, we're not doing it that way. We're going to do it this way because this is going to work for lending.
Yeah.
And I think that's, so frustrating.
I think the accountants have got the message.
I don't know. If accountants, if you don't have an understanding and you haven't got the message, phone me and we can discuss it and we'll talk it through. And I explain to you why I need done what I need done for the benefit of the client, because lending is more important than you are. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I own an accountancy firm as well, so I'm still saying that, even having an accountancy firm myself. So yeah.
And then you've got people in the power team that are maybe the next branch down, like your builders, your sourcers, your project managers.
Yeah. Sourcers is a big one right now.
Sources is big, I mean, especially if you're going down that route and you're using sources. For anyone who doesn't know what a sourcer is someone who goes out and finds you property so that you can buy it. Like for me, for example, I live in the south and I invest in Scotland, so I'm not going to drive like 8 hours to go and see a property, but if like, yeah, that's great, I'll take it and drive back down. So I have a sourcer in Scotland, so does Ajay, and he says, I've got this deal, these are the numbers, this is the refurb, he project manages it, and then away we go.
What he actually is, Ajay, got this deal, do you want it? I was like, yeah.
Yeah. Literally goes like that.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
It's not bad.
He's brilliant, Gary.
He's brilliant. Do you reckon we'll get him on?
If he'll come down, yeah, absolutely.
I bet he will.
Be a very bizarre episode.
We'd need subtitles.
Gary, I love you, okay?
We love you, Gary.
But we'll have you on at some point. But yeah, so sources, yeah. The other thing with sources is some lenders don't understand sources. And so the moment a sourcer is involved, they decline the case.
To a lender, a sourcer is a property club.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever come across a property club. Oh, once in my life, actually.
Yeah, but also a sourcer is not an estate agent, even though they
do exactly the same thing, but better.
They do exactly the same thing, but they also have the same certifications. Like they're registered with the property ombudsman and all of that malarkey. It can be very, very difficult, because if a lender knows that the property has not come through an agent or the property has come through a sourcing agent, very, very quickly they'll just decline the case. And again, it comes down to the fact that lenders aren't property investors. Lenders don't understand property investment. They understand lending. They'll talk about, it's risky, it's a credit thing, it's outside policy, and all. They can say what they want, but ultimately it's because the people who write that policy don't understand. It's very, very simple. And because they don't understand, they don't write the policy in the correct way. And if they don't write the policy in the correct way, you just fuck them off and you just don't use them. So very, very quickly, the lender pool kind of shrinks. And I think where sourcing agents have probably got to understand a little bit more is that there are difficulties when it comes to this sort of thing. It's not always straightforward, and they need to stop behaving like an estate agent, calling me all the fucking time saying, what's going on? It's like, bitch, when there's an update, you'll get an update. Until that update is due for me to give it to you, you can fuck off.
Their job is to find the property.
Yeah, but the reason why they want an update is because the vendor is usually hassling them, and that's why they're coming for an update. So all I say is, Mr. Saucer, if the vendor is hassling you, you go back to them and say, there's no update currently, thank you very much. And they have to understand the process. But I guarantee you, and I'll put it in writing, that 95% of the time, if an investor is buying a property, the reason for the delay post-mortgage offer is the vendor's solicitor, because they've chosen any old Tom, Dick and Harry who charges 300 quid for conveyancing, who doesn't understand the urgency. Or that, and I see, and I do over 600 apps a year. I see it all the time. The vendor's solicitor is always the one, 95% of the time, the one that delays the process. So everyone needs to get on the same page and understand.
But you, wasn't it you who used to pay for their solicitor so that you knew that they were getting a good solicitor?
So where I was doing flips, I would go to the vendor and I'll say, right, there's 3 options of solicitors that I know will be quick. You choose whoever you want, so it's not me that's making that decision. It's entirely your choice, and I'll pay for it because obviously they're going to be a bit more expensive than what they would normally pay. And I would pay for those solicitors so that my sale would go through quicker for the person that was buying. If they were like a resi buyer or something like that, they weren't an investor that was buying. I did it probably about 6 or 7 times.
Yeah. If you want shit to get done, then
you've got to do it.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. People say, oh my God, what you pay for it? Well, it could cost you like 1,500 quid or whatever. I don't care. What's more, the bigger picture is more important for me, right? And I think the small human mentality that a lot of people have, they've got to kick that mentality if they want to actually grow a business. The Del Boy investors, the wheelers and dealers and all the rest of it, looking to save 1p here, 1p there. The bigger picture is far more important. And I think Danny said this once, Danny Inman said this once, where it's just like, I don't care about paying a slight premium because getting the deal done is more important. And I look to the future rather than looking at right now. And he's historically done that with going with a lender who's far more expensive than everyone else.
But also, if they're going to faff about and your val runs out or your offer runs out, it's going to cost you more than that to get a new val done and an admin fee for a new offer anyway, or go to a new lender or rekey or whatever. So you need to just get it done.
I think it's really, really important. But some people's thought process would be, how do I find the right power team? How do I work with the right person?
Yeah.
Who do I take advice from? How do I know if someone's not blowing smoke up my arse? And I think that's probably the only difficult part in getting your power team.
Yeah, it is really difficult.
It's almost that kiss a few frogs before you find the right prince kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or princess.
I think you just took me off my train of thought then. I'm thinking about kissing a frog.
That's quite bizarre.
Well, no, you literally just said kiss a frog.
So why are you thinking about kissing frogs?
Because you literally just said it. If I said
Do you think it would taste disgusting?
Yeah, but if I said don't think about pink elephants, you're going to think about pink elephant.
I'm thinking about green elephants.
No, you're not. You're so annoying. What was I going to say? Oh, I was going to say choosing your right power team and who not to listen to is... I've realised that you don't listen to people who aren't doing what you're doing or want to do.
Yes, absolutely.
So Steve in the pub.
No disrespect to Steve's.
Sorry, Steve's a great name, to be fair. But Steve in the pub, who doesn't own any property, has never owned any property and has no interest in owning any property and says that buy-to-lets are dead, is probably someone you shouldn't listen to.
Yeah, I think so. One, if someone's not doing what you want to do or someone hasn't done what you're aspiring to do, you should never listen to them ever, right? You should just fuck them off. In fact, you should probably kick them out of your life because all they're going to do is drag you down forever. I've had so many fucking people in my life tell me, oh, you shouldn't do that because it's not going to work. You shouldn't do this. It's not going to work. I've obviously never listened to anyone in my life. And I've just done what I've wanted to do. Or I've listened to someone who's doing it or has done it because I want to aspire to that. And it's always worked out.
But it needs to be someone who's ideally doing it now, who's active now, not always someone who's, I've been a landlord for 50 years and I haven't bought a property for 20 years.
That's different.
It's very, very different.
Yeah, that is
You
different.
need someone in the space who's actively still investing or actively still working in the space.
At the same time, and they can give the advice on who to work with and who not to work with. But I think at that same time, it's very difficult to take advice from other investors with regards to what lenders to go to or which advisor to use, because they could be very different circumstances.
Very. But that's why you see in those groups all the time, like either on Facebook or WhatsApp or what, investor groups.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm buying a buy-to-let and I need to know what lenders are good. And it's like, well, it depends.
Why don't you ask your mortgage advisor? Because they will tell you based on your personal circumstance, your situation. Is it limited company? Is it a personal name? What area of the country is it in?
Yeah.
What's the value of that property? All these things actually have such an impact on which lender you would go to.
I always comment on them and say, this is not a question for this group. Please ask your advisor.
Do you?
Yeah, on every single one.
Gangster.
Everyone
What do
that
they
I
respond?
see.
A thumbs up.
Yeah. Or a thank you. I've never had a negative response to it. I've had people say, yeah, she's absolutely right, 100%.
Yeah, but then you get the clickbait advisors on there. Clickbait advisors.
Wasn't there one? I swear there's one advisor that is on all of these groups that I'm on. And he is like, if you looked under the dictionary under clickbait, I swear his name would be there.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wasn't there one that started having a go at you who was talking absolute breeze?
Yeah, and I can't remember what it was. It was something like, I can do a bridge at like 0.5 at 75% loan to value. I was like, no, you can't. I was like, that's an outright lie.
An unregulated bridge?
Yeah.
That's it. No.
I was like, at max, that maybe, absolutely. It may be like 50% loan to value. Yeah, maybe.
75% loan to value, gross loan to value on an unregulated bridge, she reckons 0.5% per month.
I was like, you're wrong, mate. You're lying. You're actually lying.
Yeah, chatting shit.
Chatting breeze. I was fuming.
What a bizarre concept.
But he's doing that like on loads of different things. But then people are like, oh, that's great. Yeah, he knows what he's talking about. He's active in the space and he's got good rates. And then you go to him and he's like, oh, actually, I can't do that.
I don't ever give those kind of people the time of day.
No.
I can't deal. I'm a very rare breed of human because I'm very blunt.
No.
And I can't deal with incompetence. It actually hurts my soul. Like I feel like I just want to lie down.
Yeah, I don't know it.
Or maybe crawl up into a little ball. I think the brutal honesty that I emit should be enough. Like I will tell someone point blank if someone is talking shit or not. Mm-hmm. I'd have no problem in doing that because it's such a waste of life.
Yeah.
But then some clients will say, oh, by the way, this person has said this. I'm actually, do you know what? That's actually correct. Crack on.
Yeah.
Or then they'll come to me and say, this person has said this. What do you think? And I said, actually, do you know what? That is 100% wrong. And these are the reasons why it's wrong.
Yeah.
It's difficult for the client. Like I mentioned earlier, there are times where I just feel so sorry for them because there's so many different people giving so many different pieces of advice and they don't know who to trust.
It is really,
and
it's
almost like I want to say, right, yeah, trust me. And I think I'm very trustworthy because I don't bullshit. I don't fuck about. I tell it how it is. And I will tell you straight if you're being lied to or not. But then from their point of view, they're like, oh, there's another person who says something completely different.
Yeah.
So what do I do?
So, of course, if you're in their shoes, you're like, who am I going to trust?
Yeah, it is difficult. But I will say point blank, I will never, ever lead someone up the garden path just to get a client. Like, I can't do it. I tell clients to get rid of deals. I'm like, that deal's shit. Fuck it off. Oh, you're talking yourself out of getting paid. I don't give a shit. Mm-hmm. I don't care. Get rid of that deal. It's terrible. Yeah. That deal is good. Yes, let's do that. That deal, no, let's get rid of it. And I think that is where your work. So if your advisor can give you that advice and say, from a lending point of view, this is not going to work because you're going to be in a deficit, or your percentage wise is money left in the deal is not going to work for your refinance. So from a lending point of view, if it's not going to work, you get rid of it. If an advisor is not giving you that advice and they're just saying, yep, let's crack on, that's when you know your advisor is wrong. Get rid of them immediately. Do not work with them because they're literally just doing it for a paycheck.
Yeah.
And that is what I hate the most.
But I think, especially when it comes to advisors, you know in your gut when you have a first conversation, because it's the same with us when we talk to clients. I have an initial conversation with them. It lasts like 20, 30 minutes. I know if that client is legit, dodgy.
Yeah.
Just lost, whatever it is, I already know. So, and they're going to be feeling the same about us. So you can have a conversation with an advisor and you know something's just not quite right. And you should listen to that because the gut's never wrong, right?
And I think, oh fuck, I forgot what I was going to say. I was going to say something brilliant as well.
Were you?
Yeah, it was going to be phenomenal. But I've lost it. But I'm not as good as you with remembering again. You remember like that. I don't. When it's gone, it's gone.
You're like a fish.
I'm like a fish.
Yeah. They forget in like 1 second. They're a goldfish.
Oh, isn't it like 5 seconds?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, well, let's hope it comes to you in the next 1 minute that we've got.
Not going to happen. Not going to happen.
I think in a nutshell, it is about having those conversations, open and honest conversations with the people in your power team or that you'd like to be in your power team, especially if you're starting out, because you get a feel, and sometimes it is about kissing a few frogs, like you said. It is. You're not always going to get it right first time.
Oh, I've remembered.
Oh, there it is.
So, a client, very, very important. Don't fucking lie to us. Simple. Do not fucking lie. 90% of the time, the ones that lie, they're lying because they think what they're doing is wrong. So they'll lie about what they're doing to make it sound correct, and in the end, we get fucked either way. Right? Do not lie. Give me 100% of the correct information because there's always going to be an option. Yes, it may be a case of you having to pay for that option, but there's always going to be an option.
And 99% of the time, what they're lying about is completely legitimate anyway.
Yeah,
so there's no need to lie.
I've seen it so many times where people will lie because they think it's wrong.
Yeah.
Whereas actually, you can do that completely. There's not an issue. So with your mortgage advisor, with your accountant, with your solicitor, tell 100% truth so that we know what to do correctly in the correct manner. Because I'm telling you now, I will not for 1 second ever do something dodgy where it is outright fucking fraud.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not going to do it.
I've turned several clients
So give us there's always ways around certain things. If things are worded in the correct way, if things are presented in the correct way, a lender will accept it. So don't ever fucking lie to your advisor. Tell them the truth. And I think that's it. That's my last message for you, God.
What a way to end.
Thank you.
It's come out like brutally and then it's like, love you.
I just got to lighten it a little bit.
That's why I'm here. You're the brute.
Am I?
And I'm the love.
Or whatever. I've heard you on the phone screaming at people.
Yeah, well, that's because they piss me off.
Okay.
Estate agents can piss me off. I'm going to pull the deal. Completion's tomorrow, mate. Yeah, but it's taking too long. It's going to take 6 weeks with someone else.
Actually, before we go, pull the deal. You dickhead. You're going to have to start the whole process again. Find a new buyer, start a new mortgage application, do a new valuation, go through conveyancing one more time. We're already in conveyancing. Stop being a dick and saying that you're going to pull the deal, right?
You're not going to pull the deal. You're just threatening the client.
Anyway.
Bad egg. Right.
Thank you, Jordan.
That's everything.
Thank you, Jordan, for joining me.
It's all right. I'm here every week.
You're not going to thank me for joining you? The fuck?
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for honouring me with your presence.
Yeah, it's too late. Done now. Not happy. Thank you for joining us again on Industry Disruptors. I'm Ajay Nair. This is Jordan Wiley, MBE. Please do not forget to subscribe, like, and comment. And if you're going to give a shit comment, don't fucking comment. Please. It's not nice. If you have, what's that saying? If you have nothing nice to say.
If you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. It's from Bambi.
If you have constructive criticism and constructive feedback, happy to take it. Also, if there's anything you want to discuss or anything you want to talk about, please let us know. If there's an episode that you would like to see on a topic in particular, then again, please do let us know. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and we will see you again soon on Industry Disruptors.